Hey everyone, welcome back to Sunsets and Spaces. This is my big Las Vegas vlog. I flew all the way from London to Las Vegas over Christmas, and if you want to know more about what I got up to in my 5 days there, then keep on watching. This was my first time actually traveling on Christmas Day, so I wasn't sure what to expect. The airport and both the flight were quite busy, and they did give this actually very tasty Christmas meal. And they had the classic Christmas crackers and cheese and a couple of other desserts. It was an overall great experience, and it wasn't so bad traveling on Christmas Day like I had imagined. When we actually landed and you could see the Las Vegas Strip, and it's quite strange up until you actually come to the main strip bit. Things are quite dark and it feels quite empty, and then you kind of get into the buzzing lights. It was quite cool that I had actually decided to stay at the Venetian, which is actually one of the hotels on the far side of the strip. So we got to see all of the main hotels on our way to the hotel that we had decided to stay at. So it was really cool to kind of get this first introduction into Las Vegas. The strip isn't that far, but we ended up deciding to take a Uber to the Palazzo at the Venetian, which is the sister tower, and it's one of the newer towers set up by the Venetian. It's quite nice. As you can see, like, the main lobby was decorated in a very cool Christmas theme, and this kind of carried throughout the Palazzo and throughout the Venetian foyer and the reception areas. Of all of the hotels that I checked out on my trip to Las Vegas, I was definitely confirmed that this was one of the best hotels to stay at. I think the Venetian and the Sister Tower Palazzo were just so well decorated, and the architecture and interior were just so cool that it really made the whole stay worthwhile. There was actually so much to do just within this hotel. One thing to be mindful of is that Las Vegas is not very much made for walking. It does take quite some time to just get from your hotel room to different areas on the strip, and you will be better off taking a taxi at certain points on your trip. For example, it took me about 30 minutes to get from my room to the CVS across the road because there are so many flyovers and walkways. Something that was quite surprising was that you can't actually avoid any of the casinos in many of the hotels because they are on your way to your hotel rooms. So for example, this main casino area that you can see was on the way to the lift, so really unavoidable, but it made the overall experience very convenient and very fun. The best thing about staying at the Palazzo was that it was actually well connected to the Grand Canal shops in the Venetian, so it made that kind of pathway very, very easy to access. There was also a small food court for those that are interested, and there were a lot of restaurants within the Venetian resort area. There was also the Grand Canal shops, which kind of look like this, and this is where you can find kind of those high-end designer stores. Now, this area, which is called the canals at the Venetian, was definitely the highlight, not only for myself as someone staying there, but this is definitely a must-see on your trip, even if you're staying at another hotel. I just thought it was such a dreamy environment, and you can actually hear the singers on the gondolas singing, and they had beautiful voices, and the whole experience just was really cool. I didn't actually capture any footage, but I did manage to eat dinner on one of the canal restaurants, which was actually a really cool experience, and it was really nice to just enjoy the kind of water and the canals nearby. The Venetian was actually a really big hotel, and there were lots of bakeries and other restaurants and things like that dotted around different lobbies, so it was really fun to explore, and there's actually a lot to do just within the Venetian and Palazzo itself. Now let's get into a room tour. So we basically had a suite for my parents and my brother and myself, and we had 2 double beds and also a sofa bed. And I thought that the view from the hotel window was immaculate. We had a view of the strip, so you can see Treasure Island, and there was also the Wynn on the side. Vegas itself obviously is a desert, so you can kind of see the distant residential areas and the mountains. But this room was actually really, really big and a perfect size for a family of 4. So next on the list was the Wynn Hotel, which is a short walkway from the Palazzo, and this is where you'll find the Wynn botanical gardens as well as some of their designer shops. It was a really big hotel and I thought the interior was once again great. A bit like the Venetian, it had kind of this like kind of old school antique and very grand vibe to it. I thought the displays for many of the designer stores were actually really cool, so like this Dior one, and this is something that you'll see throughout other hotels as well. I really enjoyed looking at the botanical gardens at the Wynn. They did have this Christmassy theme just to keep in line with the time of year. I do think that this is something that they change depending on the season, but it was very small, but it was still worth it if you want to have a look around and walk through the Wynn. You don't need any tickets to access this botanical garden, as you can kind of just walk through the casino area and you'll find it there. So this was the casino area near the Wynn. We didn't really check it out too much just because it was lunchtime and we were looking for somewhere to have some lunch. There was this cool game. I am forgetting if this was this hotel or another one, but it was really fun. You kind of just like bet on the different horses and you can watch them win and kind of see what happens there. I know everyone recommends the buffet at the Wynn, and apparently it's supposed to be a really kind of worth it buffet, but we did find out if we could queue, but it was like an hour wait, so we ended up going to the Grand Lux Cafe, which is within the Palazzo Hotel. It's kind of like this bistro and you can kind of get loads of different kinds of food like pastas, pizzas, burgers, or even kind of salads, and honestly the food tasted great and it was a very reliable spot on our trip. We ended up trying different drinks and getting a lot of the salads on a lot of the day just because they were such big portions and they were so filling and honestly really tasty as well. One thing I love about Las Vegas was that all of the hotels are so brightly lit and look so beautiful at night, and they look so cool. I thought the Venetian in particular looked really cool by the canals throughout the nighttime. Like, Las Vegas looks good during the day, but it looks so much better and it really comes to life at nighttime. The gondolas were actually still available throughout the evening and afternoon time. It wasn't really something that I was interested in doing. I'm not sure if it was really worth it. It just seemed like a boat ride around the hotel area. One of the actual fun parts of going to Las Vegas is just being able to walk the strip. There's actually so much going on and so much to explore that it makes the whole city a lot more fun. It is a kind of difficult to walk city because although the hotels seem quite close, they're actually quite far apart. So if you're not someone that's up for a lot of walking, then that's something to be mindful of. But Ubers and taxis are very readily available. You can actually see how like big the structures and adverts and everything look when you're kind of right below them, and I just thought that was like so powerful. The next thing that we actually checked out was Caesars Palace. I actually really enjoyed this. This had really cool kind of structures, both on the inside and outside, so I've captured some of the footage throughout the day and what it looked like, and you can kind of see the Colosseum, you've got the kind of Trevi Fountain example, and you've got like the pillars and the various statues. I kind of wish I got to see this Trevi Fountain lit up at night time, but I didn't realise it was there just because I entered the Caesars Palace from the Forum kind of shop side, so I only saw this actually in the morning. So this is what it looks like kind of across the road. It is quite a big hotel, as you can see, and there are lots of buildings. So as I mentioned, I actually went into the side of the Forum shops, and this was kind of like a big mall and you can go to the shops. I didn't really go shopping in Las Vegas much. I did a bit on the last days, but this is what it looked like as well on the inside. So it had some cool statues and like water fountains, and overall the architecture was super cool. So this section was definitely a highlight on my trip. I really liked how this looked. It was kind of similar to how the inside of the Venetian looks. It's got this very dreamy vibe, and it's got this really cool structure of the Fountain of the Gods, and honestly it was a lot bigger than it looks in the photos, as you can kind of see from all the people standing by. Although it was quite busy, you did get kind of a space to take some photos and explore this kind of section and explore the shops. So this is what the casino looked like at the Caesars Palace. It was quite big. I didn't spend too much time here as I was just walking through with my family But yeah, it was cool nonetheless, and they had this like sports betting area. I didn't really get involved, but it did seem quite fun. I thought the Link Promenade area was actually quite cool, and there was actually quite a few shops and things to explore here. So they had like the infamous In-N-Out burger, which is something you can only find in the West Coast. They had kind of a zip line that you kind of can't see in the video. They also had like this cool Ferris wheel, and they had lots of bars dotted around on the actual promenade. Off the Link Promenade, you'll actually find the Flamingo Hotel. This was actually one of my favourite hotels just because it had a really cool theme, and inside the hotel itself they had this kind of like garden area where they did have live flamingos that you can look at. I just thought it was really cool theme, and the outdoor area was cool. The inside, it was okay. I didn't really eat any food there or go to the casino, but I just thought this kind of section kind of made up for it. It does look cool during the night, but I do recommend that it is better during the day, so definitely check it out during the day if you can. This is actually a great area to bring small children, as there are lots of kind of animals that they can see, like turtles and koi fish, as well as the flamingos themselves, so it was a good little spot. So next on the list is Hoover Dam and the Great Canyon, which are both outside of Las Vegas and definitely mean that you need to either hire a car or get a taxi there. The Hoover Dam is a hydroelectric power plant, and this is like the big walkway that you can see in front of me, and you can walk all the way across to see the views of the Hoover Dam, and it's definitely worth checking out, and it is big, vast and great structure. I've never seen anything like it before. Now let's talk all things Grand Canyon. I know a lot of people take the helicopter ride. My family and I decided to not opt in for that, and we ended up going on the bus tour, which takes you to Eagle Point, where you can see kind of that eagle structure within the Grand Canyon. You can go on the skywalk, and then you also get taken to Guano Point, and the bus rides that you have in between are all a part of the package. I do think you can skip the skywalk. It's kind of like this glass walkway, and it's super crowded, to be honest, and it wasn't really worth it in my view. I kind of prefer being outside. So I really enjoyed Guano Point a lot more. You can kind of see how big this structure is, despite it being so packed. Like, the people on it look so small because it was such a big structure, and it is such, honestly, a big canyon, and it was definitely worth the money and definitely worth coming out to see the Grand Canyon. I do recommend trying to get to the Grand Canyon a little bit earlier and, you know, getting on with your day. We ended up kind of having quite a late evening, so if that's something that you want to avoid and miss some of the rush, that's definitely something that you can factor in and have as part of your day. Having said that, we got really lucky and saw this beautiful sunset on the way back to the hotel. When it comes to restaurants and bakeries, I didn't try too much just because I'm not a big kind of sweet person, but I did end up trying Donut Teak, which is this donut bakery. This was amazing and I actually really recommend it. We tried the creme brulee donut and a blueberry donut, and it was very, very hearty and very, very sweet, but definitely worth it, and so it could definitely be a part of one of your meals in the day. And the prices were decent, so we ended up getting coffee and stuff from here as well, and this bread pudding was amazing. So as I said at the start of this video, we didn't explore too much with food and ended up eating at the Grand Lux Cafe quite a bit. For example, we went to Sugarcane, which is a brunch place, and we all found all of our food so bland and just off, so we kind of didn't explore too much with the food. One of the good things about Las Vegas is that there is a lot to do aside from the obvious gambling. So we ended up checking out the fountain show at the Bellagio, which was so cool. It's only about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but it's so worth it. One of the best things about going to Las Vegas is that there isn't just gambling to do. There are lots of shows that you can experience and try. So we ended up going to O, which is a show from Cirque Du Soleil. You can't actually film the show itself, so I captured kind of what the theatre looks like and just one small snippet. And you can see these acrobats and synchronized swimmers. The stage itself turned into water, so it was definitely worth the money and the experience. One other thing that you must check out is the Bellagio glass blown ceiling. but also the Bellagio Conservatory. They do decorate the conservatory based on the time of year and whatever theme that they have. And this glass ceiling was actually a really cool structure and a really cool sculpture to check out. So I thought the Bellagio Conservatory looked so cool around Christmas time. Honestly, it was so worth going to. They had a huge sleigh, they had this massive Christmas tree and these massive reindeers, and there was so much detail in all of the decoration, from the chandeliers to the gingerbread house, as well as kind of these large baubles that they had, as well as kind of the carousel with the horses. There was so much detail and so much decor, and this was a great spot to get some photos, but also just to explore another area. The best part is, again, this is something that you can do for free, and it's open to children, and it's open pretty much kind of all day. So I went almost towards the end of the night, and it was still quite busy and quite buzzy. So all of the hotels that I've shown so far have been on the Venetian side of the strip. So we also have the kind of MGM Grand side. This hotel was cool. Like, the lobby wasn't as fancy as, say, the Palazzo or the Bellagio, but it did definitely have a kind of gold theme, and they had, of course, the famous lions. We did spend some time in the casino here, and we also ended up having lunch at one of the restaurants called the Grand Wok. This was great if you're looking for some tasty Asian food. We ended up getting these really yummy cucumbers and this hot noodle soup style dish, as well as these beef noodles and chicken, as well as chop suey, which was all very delicious. One of the hotels that I didn't actually get to check out from the inside was Paris Hotel, so I did get to see it from the outside, so it's definitely worth checking out if you are in the area, but it's very prominent on the strip, so it's easy to see kind of from a lot of other hotels. Once we had checked out MGM Grand, we ended up going outside towards New York, and just walked the strip to see what we could find. New York is the hotel that has the really famous roller coaster. We didn't end up going on it just because we weren't really in the mood, but it's right opposite the MGM Grand, and you can also find stores like the Coca-Cola store, the Hard Rock Cafe, as well as the M&M World. I did end up checking out the M&M World. It was quite cool and worth checking out if you're kind of right next to it or something. The area around the M&M World was quite cool as well, so they had a couple of souvenir shops and other stores that you could go into. We ended up going to a TJ Maxx as well, and they had like this Brooklyn Bridge area, so you could kind of walk across it and you can see the Statue of Liberty, as well as other famous stores like the Hershey store, as well as the Reese's store. Two hotels that you must check out whilst you're in Las Vegas are the Excalibur Hotel as well as the Luxor Hotel. I thought both of them have a really cool theme, but also a really cool exterior and interior, so they should definitely be on your must-see list. The Luxor Hotel has a Egyptian theme, and it's got a sphinx outside as well as shaped like a pyramid. The inside has some exhibitions that you can find as well, and a couple of restaurants, but I just thought that the structure itself was really cool, so you can see how kind of the building is slanted and the hotel rooms are actually at an angle. We didn't spend too much time at either of these hotels. They were kind of just a pit stop to check out the interior and to see what else they had to offer. But if we had more time, we could have checked out some of the exhibitions, like they had this Titanic exhibition at the Luxor. So one of the highlights for me on this trip was actually getting to see the Jabbawockees live and in person. I used to be such a big fan as a kid. They are this American dance group that came about from America's Got Talent and America's Best Dance Crew. And overall, the group was so talented and so entertaining throughout the entire show. And I thought the show was actually so perfect for all ages. I personally paid about $100 to watch the show, but I think it's because I bought the tickets quite last minute, so you can definitely save some money there, I think. Whilst I didn't check out the Sphere from the inside. I feel like it's a great addition to the kind of strip and the city itself. When you're really up close, it looks really cool. They do project lots of adverts and things like that, but up close I think it's a really great futuristic kind of structure. So that's all for my trip to Las Vegas. It was a packed full 5 days, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, then let me know what your favourite bit was, and thank you so much for watching.